Which piece of junk should I talk about today? Got a keyboard, computer, another computer, boombox, this boombox with the speakers taken off it, clock, radios, cameras, TV. I already talked about that clock. We could talk about this guy. It's a very unassuming looking, one of those made to look nice but is actually really cheap type boomboxes. But it has a couple interesting features that I think make it kind of weird. It's made by Symphonic, which is kind of a mid-range big box store brand. I had a Symphonic TV when I was little and it was alright, but I don't think they're known for their high-end stuff. It has 2 cassette decks, a radio, tape, aux input. It's got 2-way speakers, and they actually are 2 ways. This is a tweeter that does work, woofer on both sides. Let's take a look at the back. So on the back you got standard battery compartment, aux input, microphone input, remote, this switch labeled oscillator, which I think is something to do with AM radio, similar to a beat cut switch, but I've never had to use it, so I'm not really sure what it's for. Here's the model sticker, which I had to peel off to get at a screw, but you can see it's model number PRC 530. What does that say? Made in Taiwan. Here's a UL sticker on it. Let's look at the side. So looking at the side, things start to get a little bit interesting. You've got your DC 12 volt barrel jack connector. You've got your AC 120 volt connector, which is nice. They have both of them. I use the 12 volt connector. The 120 volt connector is a little worn out. It doesn't work very well. You've got a headphone jack and what you would think would be a aux-in jack, but we already saw the aux-in jack on the back. This is actually an external speaker connector. And I've never seen a boombox with one of those. I think that's kind of weird. Unfortunately, I don't have any RCA style speakers to plug into it, but that's kind of weird. I've seen boomboxes with removable speakers like this guy here, but never ones with an auxiliary speaker connection. And finally, back to the front. Let's take a closer look at what we've got on the front. You'll notice this deck says no on it. That's because it's a little janky. It tends to like put a dent in tapes, so I don't use that one. You've got, first of all, this switch here. Record, dubbing, play 1 or 2, or continuous 2 to 1. And this is interesting. You can either play one deck or the other deck, or push it in and have it automatically play the next deck after the first one stops, which I think is pretty interesting. I've never seen that on something with these piano keys, but basically how it works is you push play on the first one and play on the second one, and it'll pause the second one and not play it until the first one stops, and then the second one will just play. Another interesting thing on the front is this stereo wide button, which I think just turns up the tweeters. It does sound wider, but you get way more high end because it just turns up these tweeters. And then the most interesting thing on the front is this past programmable automatic search system. And what that does is it's a search, the fast forward search function for the tape. And normally I've only seen this on higher end tape decks. I've never seen it on one of these mechanical decks, but it's exactly like it sounds. You push play and fast forward and it will fast forward through the tape and stop at the next track, which I've never seen on a mechanical tape deck. So let me demonstrate. I've fast forwarded this tape here almost to the end of this song. You notice it's the Cars, and then I'm going to push these 2 buttons right here. And you see this light comes on that says pass, and then it stops at the end of the track and plays the next one, which is a Love in an Elevator by Aerosmith.
Second floor, hardware, children's wear, ladies' lingerie.
We're not going to play all that so I don't get copyright claimed, but I think that's really neat. I've never seen that implemented in a piano key style deck like this, only Logic type stuff. It works in reverse too. See the light come up again? We could listen to the Cars for a little bit, just so you can get an idea of how this sounds. I do have the bass turned up almost all the way. Go ahead, fast forward. We're going to try to dodge copyright as best we can.
You look so fancy, I can tell. I don't mind you hanging out.
So yeah, it really doesn't sound that bad. It did sound kind of crappy, and then I adjusted the azimuth on this guy, and now it sounds a lot better. But the radio sounds okay too.
UOLX.
Oh, that's major copyright.
But I still think that
and just in a broader area about what's going on, what are the issues are, and what do they think?
It's got
How
this
can we
cool
improve
meter.
this project, or is it just so egregious we advise the alder to say no?
So yeah, it doesn't sound that bad, and it works pretty well, and the FM reception is okay. The AM reception isn't super great. But all in all, a pretty interesting boombox from this company. I wouldn't expect it to have as many features as it does, and I surely wouldn't expect it to have a search function with piano keys. But yeah, that's about it. Just thought I would show this off since I thought it was kind of neat. Thanks for watching.